Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really great guest on today, who has a design studio that works with international companies and agencies from all over the world. They work with brands such as Panasonic, Novartis, IBM, GlaxoSmithKline, Janssen, Sedar, Indigo Film, F.E.R.A, Morini Rent, Nemen, Designjunction, LetteraG, and Writeground. Please join me in welcoming David Radaelli. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me, Thomas.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I was born and raised in Milano, Italy. As a teenager, I grew up with a great passion for music, art, and creativity, especially for drawing and inventing stuff. So by the time I had to choose which university to attend to, I decided to go for industrial design. And after that, I started working right after I finished my studies, and immediately I became active in the fields of product design, interior and exhibit design, installations, graphics, communication. So it was a um, multidisciplinary way of working in the field of design. And to this day, I'm still active in these fields of design, and I'm working with international clients and I'm still Milan based. Furthermore, I have founded a brand which is called Writeground, which is a brand of highly design-oriented stationery items. Well, long story short, I decided to make it because I have this great passion for stationery items. And to complete the picture, at the moment, I'm also working on an artistic project that I care a lot about, and but it's still in progress, so I don't know exactly when I will be able to present it. But I really like it, and it's really exciting for me.
Great. And just a quick note for the audience, if you guys are interested in the important product design episodes, please check out our episode with Yves Behar. That was a great episode. So question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Ah, it's not an easy question. Well, I think curiosity, I guess, and maybe the fact that I try to put a surprise in something in the projects I work on. Curiosity leads to observation that once that is used for design purposes, it becomes research, and the research is key to me. I usually make two kinds of research. I call one the on-topic research, and the other one is the off-topic one. And by mixing these two kinds of research, I try to mix things and inspirations, um, trying to create a recipe by mixing ingredients that somehow will hopefully lead to a new and maybe unexpected result. So I think yes, curiosity and observation.
Great. So question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Well, curiosity and creativity are quite natural to me. As I said, I had them since I I'd even decided if I wanted to become what I wanted to become. When I was an adult, when I was a kid, I was curious, and I had this creative aspect in me, and that led to subsequently to become a designer. And curiosity and creativity are interconnected, and th- they led me to develop, let's say, my design approach, which is to develop a precise idea that becomes the reason of being of a project, and then try to develop that idea in an essential way. And it can be either a conceptual or a technological idea, but there's got to be something in the projects I work on.
Hmm.
At least that's what I try to do.
Great. So some people struggle with number four, but the question is, what does your future look like?
Well, I can. I can tell you that I'm interested in going ahead with my design profession, but as I said, I'm also in developing. I'm interested in developing some art projects, which are looking now more and more fascinating to me. So I think that my future hopefully will see an increasing presence of art projects together with my, continuing my design work as a designer. And for me, they're quite interconnected. They somehow I mix them, and it's hard to sometimes to define which is the difference, where is the limit between one and another field. In some projects, not in any projects I work on, but yeah, hopefully, I hope that new art projects are going to be something I will be working on.
Great. Okay, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Living in Milano, living in Italy, maybe made becoming a designer maybe a little easier. I I don't know. More likely, I don't know. More likely, I don't know. In terms of projects, the location of a project is a key element of a design process. And that said, sometimes I work on projects which are built on several locations. That leads you to design choices in which you cannot refer to a specific place, as you would do if you were designing a building, for instance. But you do the opposite, and you focus on the identity of your project, which needs to be clear in a way it may be placed.
Great. Number six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Hmm. Well, sometimes in life you have some sliding doors in front of you, and you have to choose one thing rather than another. And I would be curious to see what would happen, choosing the other alternatives. And in terms of advice, I would tell myself to be a little more daring and proactive in certain situations, and maybe with a little more self-esteem, which I was quite insecure when I was younger sometimes. And yeah,
Great.
I would say that.
Yeah, great. What's a day in your life like?
Well, um, sometimes, I work on commission and independent projects, both on design and art. And so sometimes I can work in my studio. Some of the times I have to uh, work and, meeting clients, working on locations. So sometimes I'm home, sometimes I'm traveling. And then mm, I have to deal with consultants who help me manage and develop my business. And when I have some free time, I like to cultivate my passions, which are music and more recently carpentry, which is somehow connected to my work. And then the rest of the time, I spend it with my family. I spend time with my family, and because I try to keep like sort of balance between work and life.
Great. So eight is around lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
I'm exploring the world of online courses and master classes, beside webinars. And when I need some, for technical matters, I rely on tutorials for more technical things. Then I keep researching technologies and materials, and as well as watching new ideas and concepts by other people on the social media. And the algorithms work very well once you have decided to what you're looking for. And since I like, watching at design projects, architectural projects, art projects from, anybody in the world. I use them, this social media as a platform to gather all to this kind of information and try to stay up to date with what's happening these days. And unfortunately, these things take time, and anything takes time. And sometimes uh, time is the resource I feel I'm really lacking. So I have to do many things and, try to keep on learning. It's something that I want to do, that I need to do, but I struggle to find the time to do that.
Great. Nine is around tools. I imagine you use both digital and analog tools.
Yeah, sure. Well, I can work from almost anywhere because, once I have my laptop, my phone, and an internet connection, I can manage to work with clients, collaborators, and carry on my projects wherever I am. Of course, when I'm in Milan, I'm all set up. I have my 3D printer, my devices, my very small workshop, and also partners who can provide me with materials and samples with a quick turnaround. So I have when I'm home, I can I have a network, I have a system which works very well. But once I'm away, I can still be efficient and able to keep on working, meet my deadlines, and carry on working
Great. So halfway,
on any project.
sorry. So halfway number 10, work-life balance, how do you deal with it?
Well, that varies from time to time. Sometimes work and private life are balanced. Some other times this balance is somehow missing. Uh, Sometimes this shift of balance is predictable because some works are periodic, such as fashion shows, for instance, and that you're going to face some tough weeks. You're going to have some tough weeks before you, and you try to get ready for them. But well, I would say I can manage. And the good thing is that some parts of my job, like sketching, for instance, developing concepts and thinking, are something I do like to do very much. And so sometimes let work becomes part of my life, maybe, but it's nice part of my life. And so sometimes life and work get mixed. But as long as it's a nice part of the work, it's okay. I try to keep problems and issues away from the private life as much as I can, but it's not always possible.
Hmm. Great. And 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Well, I would love to be a musician. Well, I think music is the thing that really touches my inner strings and makes me, let's say, resonates. It moves me, excites me, inspires me, and sometimes other works of art manage to do that, to have to touch me, but not with the same immediacy. And so yeah, I would love to be a musician.
What would you not like to do with your career?
Um, hmm, well, I love my job, and I do what I do because I love it, and I I wouldn't do a 9 to 5 job for which I wouldn't have passion or interest at all. To me, my work reflects who I am. I feel like I am a designer. I'm not just working as one. I'm not the kind of man who would consider his work only a means of livelihood. Uh, because working for a job for which you have no passion or interest, considering the time that a job is taken away in in a lifetime, it would I would feel like I would be wasting my life somehow.
Mm. Great. And how about a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I like less is fun because it summarizes my design approach. As a designer, my effort is to develop a concept and be able to make it relatable to the people, but with the least amount of materials and elements. So, so let's call it fun. I call it fun, although it's not always like that because sometimes you get frustrated because you cannot find the right way to resolve a project. But most of the time it is. And less is fun because that part of the work, the part of the work as a designer I want to do is to take away. So once you have an idea, you try to take away all anything which is not necessary, and that's the part in which I try to mm, to to focus all my work as a designer.
Great. And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Mm. Well, uh, okay. I have one. It sounds a little like Ricky Gervais. Let's ask the average person what they think. Um, and it's something that uh, the average person, however describable, when you try to develop something new, may be a break on innovation and the progress of a project. So the idea of using the average person, like let's say, uh, as a as as a as a test for the quality of an idea. I don't know. It's something that I usually disagree with. I think that sometimes you need to present something new and and somehow surprise people. That's how you make innovation. And of course, you subsequently have to deal with the market and see how the commercial part of a work is performing. But in terms of creation, asking the average person what they think is something I don't like very much as
Great.
an
And
approach.
you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Curious, it's how I am, and being curious, I think it's an almost mandatory quality for a designer or an artist or a creative person. But I think that anyone should be curious. I think it's the way you can discover some of the fantastic things and stories you cannot even imagine it existed. And yes, curious. Yeah,
Great. And what keeps
yes.
you up at night?
Well, I'm an overthinker. So sometimes it's hard to keep my mind at bay. And, overthinking can consume you somehow, but triggering doubts, questions, and, you create any possible scenario and so on. So, it can be bound to, um, it can be bound to professional matters, to private matters. But the fact is that I'm an overthinker, and it can be applied to anything. So, Uh, it's something that sometimes is helping in when I work, but some other times it's too much. So I struggle to. to dose all this thinking.
Great. And how about a dream you're chasing?
Well, I'm very keen on my most recent art project, and managing to make it is the dream I'm chasing right now.
Mm.
It's a big thing, and it's going to be a challenge for me. And but it's a project which I really care about a lot about.
What inspires you?
Um, well, anything can be source material. Um, Curiosity and culture are the best tools I can have. And that said, I'm inspired by whatever challenge what is established and tries to change its settings. And when you give a new identity to something by modifying it, you create a new narrative, and that has a psychological impact on people. And that happens with both design and art, and with architecture too. Architectures that create new environments, almost like new dimensions, parallel worlds. Those are very inspiring to me. And maybe well, maybe maybe I'm exaggerating, but for what concerns real architectures, but sometimes it happens in the art world. I'm thinking of the work of those who, for instance, and I think you know, there's a quality in the way is created, these environments by the choice of, with just the choice of the material, uh, which um, which are very inspiring to me.
Great. And last couple here. Any advice you'd like to share?
Mm, well, I would say question yourself,
Mm.
question what you do, and never stop to learn. Try to be the devil's advocate of
Mm.
your works, and see if they pass the test.
Mm.
When I used to be an assistant professor at the design faculty of the Polytechnic of Milano, I remember having some students who would come, to the class with a project and would not accept any modification or critic because they were sure their idea would be right and it was perfect. And I think that that was a sign of the worst possible approaches that a designer may have, especially if they're students, especially if they're young people, because there's a sort of, you know, um, naivete in the fact that you believe that you're immediately right, that your first idea is the right one. And with the time, maybe you realize that the first idea you have is the same first idea other people are having.
Mm.
So yeah, question yourself and question what to do. And maybe by the end of your process of questioning, you realize that your idea was good and it works, but you need to test it. You need to and you don't have to take it for granted. So I think it's a very important thing.
Mm. Great. And finally, number 20. How can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
Well, they can, take a look at other websites I have. One is davideradaelli.com, which where my design works are featured. And for those interested in my design stationery brand, it's the other website is writeground.com. And that you can also take a look at my accounts on Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, and where I usually post new projects and professional stuff. I don't post personal things. So yeah, you know, the
Great.
usual places.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining today. I love that we're able to connect Vancouver with Italy in this way. And it sounded all great. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay. Bye.